For skill 4, we're going to continue on with our Pac-Man and our bullet, but now we're going to add an object that the bullet's going to hit, and when it does, the object will explode and disappear. So first things first, let's go up to our file menu. We've got skill 3 here. We want to save as skill 4. So we'll save that as skill 4 and we're ready to go with the new skill. Okay, we'll need a sprite for the object that the bullet is going to hit. So it really doesn't matter which object we use. Let's try, and we'll just put a bear in there, remove the background, open, and we'll call this bear, and OK. And we're going to need an object for the bear, so we can just use that. obj bear, and we'll add the bear sprite to that object. OK. Might as well just pop him into the room, so we've got a bear object there. 1, 2, 3, 4. That will do. Okay. So if we've got a bear and a bullet, we'll need to have an explosion, and the explosion itself is going to be a sprite. So let's load an explosion. I think I have an explosion here somewhere. There's a nice big explosion. Once again, make sure you remove any background and open that. This will be explode. OK, and we're going to want an object for the explosion. obj explode. Don't forget an object, a sprite doesn't do anything unless we have an object attached to it, or rather attach it to an object. So there we go. The explosion sprite is attached to our explode object. Alright, so when is the explosion going to happen? Well, that will be when the bullet and the bear actually hit each other. So we'll need to add a collision between the bear and the bullet. So on our bear, let's add an event, and that will be collision event when the bullet hits the bear. So it's a collision event with the bullet. What are we going to do when the bullet hits the bear? Well, we're going to have to destroy them. So we'll use our destroy instance. So we're going to destroy the instance of ourselves. Now ourself in this case is the bear. The bear is self when we're talking about the action destroy instance. We also though need to destroy the bullet, because the bullet's going to want to disappear, and that is the other. Whenever you have a collision, you have two things. You have yourself and you have the other thing that you hit. So we're destroying both ourselves, which is in this case the bear, and the other, the bullet. Okay. But we also want to create an explosion, because we want the explosion to happen. So we're going to use the create object, and it's just creating an instance of an object, and that will be the explosion object. We want to create an explosion. Now, where do we want that explosion to take place? Remember we talked about the x and y coordinates of the explosion of our objects. What we're going to do is we're going to use relative. So what that will mean is that the object is going to be created where the collision took place, but we're not going to add anything to the x and y coordinates of the location of that collision. So we're going to create the object explode in the same place as the collision, which is x0, y0 relative. Okay. Let's just run that to see if we've got things okay so far. So running the game. There we are. Let's just move our Pac-Man up so that he's in line with one of the bears there, and then we'll hit the spacebar. The bullet fires off, but the explosion keeps happening. Why is that? Well, the object is still there, so we've got a little bit of work to do yet. Let's go back to our explosion object. Now, there's two things we want to make happen when the explosion object's created, and that means on the create event we're going to play a sound, and that's the explosion sound. So first up we need to add a sound. So right click, create sound. You could have used the speaker up here to create a sound. We're going to load it, and I've got a explosion sound here, a WAV file, so I'll open that and we can play that sound. There you go. So there's the sound. SND explode, because it's the explosion sound. Okay, so we've got the sound. So when we create the explosion, so on the create event of the explosion, which we're creating it when the collision happens, we want to play that sound. So you'll see here on main 1 we've got a sounds section in the actions, so we can take the action in. The sound we want to play is the explosion. We only want it to play once, so we don't want it to keep looping, so we're just going to say false on that. And OK. Now, the problem with our explosion was that it kept happening after it was created because of the collision. So we've got a special event here that means that we can get rid of the explosion once that explosion animation has played once. So we're going to add a special event. It's one of the other events, and it's called animation end. When the animation ends, we're going to destroy the explosion. So we'll destroy ourselves. So when the explosion is created by the collision, in the create event we play the sound, but once the animation of the explosion has played once, we destroy the animation, we destroy the instance of the explosion object. So that should cover everything. Just to recap, we needed a sound for the explosion, we needed the sprite for the explosion, we needed an object for the explosion, and then when we run the game we can move up, move right, and as we hit the space bar the bullet is fired, the animation plays, the sound plays, and then it's destroyed. We'll go this way, the bullet just disappears off the screen. If we go down, we hit the bear there, and let's clean up the room. There we go, and up again, bang, and that's it. We've cleared the room. So don't forget, click the save button now that we've made those changes, and that is all for Skill 4. Thanks for watching.